get things started. So again, thank you for joining us tonight. My name's Jen Pernarski and I'm with the city's communications and public engagement group. And we're here as part of a commitment to the community in Reddendale to talk about stormwater mitigation. Next slide, please. I would like to open this evening's gathering with a land acknowledgement. And we respectively acknowledge that the land that we're meeting on and that the city of Kingston is situated on the traditional homeland of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and the Huron-Wendat. And we give thanks to these nations for their care and stewardship over this shared land. We also acknowledge that some city processes are shaped by colonialism. We commit, as part of this meeting and in any outcomes that flow from it, to keep this front of mind and center equity, inclusivity, access, and anti-oppression throughout our work. So here's how to take part tonight. Today's meeting is set up as a webinar. Like I said, we have a really large group tonight. And this means if you're joining as a member of the community, we have your microphones and your cameras turned off. The presentation will be recorded and we'll have it up on the city's YouTube channel. If you have technology questions, please drop them into the chat. I have one of my colleagues from communications here to lend a hand. Sometimes the easiest thing to do if you're having challenges with Teams is to leave the meeting and then rejoin again. There will be a formal Q&A at the end of the staff-led presentation, and you're also welcome to ask a question at any time, but we'll answer it towards the end of the session. We'll also have this slide further up in the presentation, but just as a reminder, if you are new to Zoom or haven't been on Zoom for a while, if you have a verbal question, you can raise your hand by clicking raise hand. We'll add you to the speaker's queue. And if you have a question that you'd like to ask in writing, you can add them to the Q&A box and everything is down at the bottom of Zoom for you. And then from here, I would like to turn it over to Councillor Stephen.
Thanks, Jen. Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for being here this evening. My name is Wendy Stephen. I'm the City Councillor for Lakeside District, and I just want to say I'm really grateful. We have a lot of staff here tonight who are here to share information and listen and answer your questions. And also to those of you residents who did make it tonight, thank you for making the time. I think this is important, and I do appreciate you coming out to learn. I just want to acknowledge as well that Lakeland Point, Point Pleasant, and Reddendale are all unique parts of the district, but for the purposes of this meeting, we'll probably just be saying Reddendale. So please, if you're from one of those other parts, don't be offended. It's meant to encompass the entire neighborhood, south of Front Road, between Sunny Acres and Lakeland Point. And, you know, Reddendale really is a special area in Kingston. There's nothing quite like it. And I just want to acknowledge that, you know, residents who live in this neighborhood have been having some really unique challenges over the past several years, in particular when it comes to water. And I can tell you my basement flooded back in 2022. And so while I haven't been in your shoes or lived your experiences, I do know how expensive and stressful it can be to deal with flooding. And I truly wouldn't wish it on anyone. So for the meeting tonight, the purpose is to make sure that we've got the lines of communication open between residents and the city. I feel like that's my job, is to act as kind of an intermediary and make those connections, make sure that people are able to get what they need from each other. And so in conjunction with staff, we decided that a virtual meeting was the best way to do this, even though in person is a really nice way to connect. But we thought that this way, at least it could be recorded so people could watch it later if they weren't able to attend tonight. So, you know, as I'm sure you know well, unfortunately, there are many factors that contribute to the water-related issues down in Reddendale. And tonight, staff from both the City of Kingston and Utilities Kingston are going to go through those with us. So as Jen said, after the staff presentations, there will be a chance for you to ask any questions that you might have. So again, my huge thanks for coming out tonight to everyone. Let's get started.
Thank you, Councillor Stephen. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ian Semple. I'm with the city's Transportation and Infrastructure Group. Thank you for joining us tonight for this joint presentation from various departments with the city and from Utilities Kingston. So we're going to be talking about the processes, the policies, and the projects related to the management of our stormwater and sanitary sewer systems. And as Councillor Stephen noted, Our goal is to provide an overview of how our stormwater and sanitary systems are managed and how the various infrastructure projects that are underway help improve and maintain those systems over time. So you'll see the agenda slide here, and as Jen noted, we've got a number of staff and departments from the city. So I'm going to just provide an overview of what we're going to talk about tonight, and then we'll move right into the presentation. So as a starting point, Adam McDonald from our Public Works team will outline the maintenance and proactive work that occurs on the existing stormwater systems and how you as a resident can report those concerns or let the city know about things you're seeing or changes you're seeing. This will be followed by an overview from Julie Runyons of the projects and preventative programs undertaken by Utilities Kingston and the planned neighborhood stormwater projects and other projects from Luke Falwell on the city engineering team. Garrett Hoagie from our development engineering team will provide some information on the responsibilities for managing stormwater on private properties and the ways that residents can mitigate issues for themselves and their neighbors. And then finally, Lori Paquin and Matt McComb from our recreation and leisure department will talk about the upcoming park and shoreline projects that are in the neighborhood and link in with some of the works that are underway. So as Jen and Councillor Stephen noted, feel free to ask a question at any time. These will be addressed once the presentations are complete. And with that, I'll turn it over to Adam McDonald from our Public Works team. Next slide. Adam, are you able to unmute yourself? There you go. Go ahead.
Sorry about that. As Ian said, my name is Adam McDonald. I'm one of the operations managers with Public Works, and I'm here to discuss our maintenance program as far as Public Works is concerned for what we do for the existing stormwater system. So what Public Works does for stormwater management in our neighborhoods is maintenance activities that include street sweeping and catch basin cleaning. So on a twice annual basis, we do street sweeping in the spring to remove winter sand from the streets in the neighborhood, and then in the fall, late fall, early winter, depending on how the weather has been, we come in and remove leaves as best we can prior to winter operations occurring. So that is in an effort to eliminate as much debris as possible from the overland ditch system and from entering the underground storm sewer systems. On top of that, we also do inspection prior to and during significant storm events. So definitely intensified that effort after the issues that occurred in 2017. The next slide is going to kind of illuminate how we do that in process. We also do flushing and CCTV camera inspection for the existing storm sewer network for maintenance operations. So we work with the engineering services team on that. Sometimes we do it with our own in-house equipment just to determine after an event has been identified if the system is functioning as it's supposed to be, if there's a blockage, if there's infrastructure damage that needs to be repaired, things like that. We've also performed minor infrastructure improvements in the area. So one of the projects that we did in response to the 2017 event was the infrastructure upgrades at the west dead end of Redden Street. So that's down near the pathway that leads to Lakeshore. We upgraded the catchment system in there and tied it into new culverts at the end to capture more water and get it through the system faster. And we also respond to frontline customer service for stormwater related issues. So generally, if a resident is to call the city regarding a situation of a flood, a potential flood, rainwater pooling on their property, drainage, side yard drainage issues, road drainage issues, culvert failure, which we've done a number of culvert replacements in recent years and driveway culverts in the Reddendale area. Those frontline questions come to our staff to follow up. And one of the things that I wanted to make clear to the group tonight is that any immediate maintenance issues, so if that's flooding concern or flooding is happening, or there's a concern that flooding is imminent, the best way to contact Public Works is through the phone number 613-546-0000. And that's something that actually during the after hours, so evenings, weekends, holidays, the after hours service provides contact directly to our Public Works staff. So outside of normal city business hours, any calls that are received to that number go directly to Public Works so that our staff can act on it, as we are a 24/7 operation with Public Works. I'll go to the next slide, please. So just to kind of give a background on our proactive inspection locations, we have 5 locations in the district that we check prior to every significant rainfall event. So a rainfall watch is in place, a rainfall warning is in place, thunderstorm warning. We have staff that check these highlighted locations, which are connected to outlets in the Reddendale system that could have the potential to flood in case of a high volume rainfall event. So we'll ensure that the basins are open and clear. We'll ensure that the outfalls are functioning as best they can. Obviously, the lake levels can impact how some of those outfalls do function, but it's something that we put into place after some of the flooding that occurred in 2017 and 2019 to ensure that we could have the best chance at preventing floods in those locations. So we do have maintenance work planned in the Reddendale area this summer, this later in the spring or this summer. One of the upgrades that we want to do is install some upgraded drainage devices at Crescent Drive. I know there was some issues with water going over the road there earlier this spring, so we're going to add an overflow catch basin to capture any of that water before it enters the roadway and then has a chance to drain on the opposite side or the south side of the roadway there. So those are minor infrastructure projects that we have in place for 2025, along with ditch clean out, culvert replacements, and fletching and CCTV work within the Public Works group, which is outside of some of the stuff that engineering has planned with the Reddendale infrastructure upgrades. And I think that's all for us at Public Works.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Julie Runyons, the Director of Engineering with Utilities Kingston. And tonight I will be speaking primarily about our sewer relining program and our preventative plumbing program. But I will also start with some details just about how the sanitary sewer system works. And then I'll also touch at the end on an upcoming project in the Reddendale area. Next slide, please. So Utilities Kingston manages, operates, and maintains the sanitary sewer system within the city. And the sanitary sewer system, different than the storm system, is designed primarily to collect and convey sanitary sewage or wastewater from your home to the wastewater treatment plant. And for those unfamiliar, sanitary sewage is sewage generated from flushing your toilet, showering, doing dishes, laundry, and any other use of plumbing fixtures inside your home. And you can see some of those pictured in the image on this slide. Additional or extraneous flows are inherent to a sanitary sewage system. These flows can be referred to as inflow and infiltration, or I&I. And I&I is excess water that flows into the sanitary sewer pipes from the ground and stormwater, creating extra volumes to be carried by the pipes. Sanitary sewers are designed for some amount of I&I, but when that volume becomes too high, problems can occur. And the system can be overwhelmed, resulting in potential sewage backups in basements and overflows at the pumping station. So contributors to I&I include leaky joints, cracks, and defects, but also illegal connections to that sanitary sewer system. So leaky joints and cracks can occur both on the main sewer in the road and on the lateral that connects the pipe in the road to your home. And that's pictured in the image on the slide. where it shows a sanitary lateral that runs from a house to the wastewater main in the road. The sewer main in the road and a portion of the sewer lateral up to the property line is maintained by Utilities Kingston, and the portion of the lateral between the property line and the home is the homeowner's responsibility to maintain. So touching on illegal connections, these can be a big contributor to the problem of I&I in the sanitary sewer system. We're referring to the image on the slide again. If the moderator can just click once on the slideshow. Thank you. These X's identify some of the main illegal connections that exist. So you can see there a sump pump connection, a foundation drain connection, and downspout connection into the sanitary system. That is not what the sanitary system is designed for. And just to give some context on that, a typical sump pump that you would have in your home, the volume that it produces in gallons per minute, if we translate that into an estimate of 8 hours of pumping, that represents a typical in-ground swimming pool. And that's with just one pump. So most of the sanitary sewers in this area are approximately 8 inches in diameter. So that just gives you an image of how much of an impact one sump pump can have on the sanitary sewer system. So I'm just providing that background info so people can appreciate and understand what this system is designed to do and what happens when we have excessive amounts of inflow and infiltration. Moving on from the background, there's a couple of programs of note that I wanted to speak about that support this problem. Next slide, please. So sanitary sewer rehabilitation by CIPP lining. CIPP stands for cured in place pipe. And this helps to address the problem of leaky joints and cracks in the sanitary sewer main. Pipes that meet eligibility criteria are identified to be part of this program, and that is primarily done through inspection of the sewers, which we do on a cycle to get video of the condition of the sewer. And then the pipes can be rehabilitated by this method, which involves insertion of a liner into the sewer. And you can see a picture of that happening on the slide here. Once cured, the liner itself forms a new pipe inside the old pipe, eliminating essentially the opportunity for that infiltration through the leaky joints and cracks in the pipe. And so many of you would know that this is actually going on in your neighborhood this year. We're currently in the process of lining the sanitary sewers all through Reddendale. And what's interesting about this project is this is one of the first neighborhoods that Utilities Kingston has done on an entire neighborhood basis. So we're really optimistic that we'll see positive results from this program. Next slide, please. So the next program I'm going to speak about is the Preventative Plumbing Program. And this program provides financial assistance to homeowners who are considering undertaking work on their home to reduce the risk of a sewage backup into their home. And in addition to that, the program also supports assistance with reducing the amount of storm or groundwater that the home introduces into the sanitary system through illegal connections. So those are those connections I was speaking about earlier. So the 4 main items of the program include installation of a backwater sewer valve on your sanitary sewer lateral, installation of a new sump pump, or a new sump and sump pump, capping of foundation drains, and redirection of a sump pump discharge away from the sanitary sewer. And there's a lot of information on the Utilities Kingston website about this program, and there's a QR code on the slide here with a link to the program guide. So really, the great thing about this program is it both looks at protecting your home, but also helping to support people in removing those connections that we don't want in the sanitary sewer. Next slide, please. And lastly, I just wanted to mention, as I think in the next following presentations, there's going to be other discussion around upcoming capital works infrastructure projects in the area. Utilities Kingston, within the sanitary system, has a project coming up next year related to the Queerar Boulevard sewage pumping station and the associated force main pipe that comes up Queerar. So that is intended to be going to construction in 2026. And as you'll see in the following slides, there's some a stormwater system improvements being planned right in the same area. So we are working together to coordinate that work as much as we can to minimize the impact and disruption within the neighborhood. And that's all from me, and I'll pass it over to engineering.
Yeah, thanks, Julie. Good evening, everyone. My name is Luke Falwell, Director of Engineering Services with the City of Kingston. So we'll provide an overview on some stormwater-related projects here tonight, and one road project, which is just outside of the area south of Days Road, but or Front Road, sorry, and Days. But I think we're talking about. And the slides presented here were presented at the town hall in November as well, but starting to advance a little bit. So phase one of the project, you'll start to see a get involved page for some public feedback coming out later this summer. And what we have is some stormwater improvements at the top end of the system, excuse me. We did see some significant road flooding in 2017 and 2019. So on Lakeshore and Wortman, there's some upsizing of storm infrastructure and some new storm pipes that will be put within the right of way, and connections in through Redden, and then ultimately outlets to the lake to alleviate some of those major storm events that we have been seeing on a more frequent basis. And the detailed design will be completed later this fall, with tender happening in early 2026 for 2026 construction, and we'll continue to keep everyone in the loop as that schedule progresses. Next slide, please. Phase two of the project includes and ties into a little bit of what Julie was just talking about on Crerar in terms of improvements to the right-of-way. We'll continue to work with her and her team as the details develop on that. This project's currently in sort of the pre-phase stage, where get involved public engagement would start next year, detailed design by the end of 2026, and then into construction in 2027. But we will work in the areas where both our partners at Utilities Kingston and our Parks and Shoreline team are doing work in Crerar, potentially in advance of some of the work that we have planned in this area. As part of the engineering in the phase two scope, we're looking at not just stormwater improvements, but also all-way stop improvements at the bottom of Crerar and Lakeshore intersection. But related to the stormwater components, Montgomery and Crescent Drive, we'll see the bulk of the improvements, where we're reditching, improving or replacing culverts, and getting the right-of-way and the cross-section back to what it was. So I think I saw a comment in the Q&A about ditches. If you're in this area, then we will be in across your frontage in the next couple of years. If you're not, then send us a note with your address, and we'll certainly take a look at it and see if there's something in the interim that could be considered or factored into the scope. Along with the ditch work and the culverts, we will be relining some storm pipes. So similar to what Julie described on the sanitary system, this would be sort of a cast in place type or cured in place, sorry, relining of storm through some easements in this area through Crerar Park. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, not south of Front Road, but Cranbrook Street, not specifically related to stormwater, but some pedestrian and traffic calming improvements are planned in this area, mostly along the frontage of the school. But design and get involved will happen later this year, with construction scheduled for next year. And I believe that's it for me. So thank you very much.
Good afternoon. As Ian Semple introduced, I'm Garrett Hoagie. I'm the manager for development engineering and planning services. So my colleagues in Engineering UK have talked to some of the work that's being done by the city to help with stormwater within the Reddendale neighborhood. I'm here to talk a little bit about where the responsibilities lie for public versus private drainage. So to break it down in a very general statements, the city is responsible for stormwater within the right-of-way, where the residents are responsible for drainage to get to the right-of-way. So what I provided here is our standard lock grading plan that we ask all developers and new developments to follow and ensure that water is being brought forward to the right-of-way. The detail here shows going to stormwater services that include curb and gutter. In your cases, it would be to the ditches in front of your properties for the majority of the Reddendale neighborhood. So the biggest thing that can help with private drainage matters is responsible site alteration. So obviously small changes over time can compound and create issues that will affect people over a longer period in a long-term situation. We recommend that when you are altering your property or altering the grading of your front or back lawns, you want to make sure you're reviewing impacts of adjacent properties when you're undertaking these site alterations. Where possible, you want to make sure that you're maintaining existing drainage patterns to ensure that you're not going to redirect stormwater to an area where it could cause issues for yourself or your neighbors. Also, some of the best advice we can give is make sure that you're discussing openly with your neighbors when you're going to be working on projects that are potentially going to affect stormwater. These open dialogues and open communications can help if there's issues that they have as well, and they can maybe help you in looking at areas that might be of use to direct stormwater to get it away from areas that would cause issues with your or your neighbor's properties. Next slide, please. So who should you contact if you have any issues with stormwater on your properties? So if it includes public infrastructure, your best bet is to go to Public Works. So like Adam McDonald had presented earlier, there's an emergency line for more immediate issues. That is the 613-546-0000 customer service line. If you're having issues that are not on an emergency situation, but you're just looking for some help or a response to, you can contact Public Works through our CRM service portal. If there are issues relating to private property or lock rating, your best bet would be go to the CRM service portal. So you can contact planning services, which will direct it to my group, which is development engineering. So in general, when we're looking at issues between private properties, where the city has no jurisdiction, it becomes a private civil matter. Where we can help is in the situations that you're having issues with your neighbors or your own property. We can potentially provide information on the existing information for lock rating that we have, or help interpret some of our own details and information to make sure that you have the best tools to complete the work that needs to be done to help with your private drainage matters. Next slide, please. So the city has a number of resources that can help with this. The two main ones are subdivision design guidelines. These talk to several areas for drainage on private property and grading to make sure that your properties are directing water to the right of way. In addition, we have the City of Kingston Good Neighbor Guide. Originally completed in 2019, we are currently going to update to that guideline with the community service, with the community standards bylaw being updated. And we've included some more information on good drainage practices to help with your private properties. That's all from my group today. Thank you very much.
Good evening, and thank you very much. My name is Lori Paquin, and I'm the acting manager for our Parks and Shoreline with Recreation and Leisure Services. And with me this evening is Matt McCombs, who is one of the Parks and Shoreline project managers. We will introduce some of our recently completed and upcoming parks projects in your neighborhood. Most of our ongoing projects in this area are focused on parks with shorelines affected by the 2017 and 2019 high Lake Ontario water levels. These shoreline projects are supported by a federal grant called the Disaster Mitigation and Adaptation Fund, which supports communities impacted by climate change. We also reference the Parks and Recreation and Waterfront Master Plan as guiding plans for our parks and waterfront projects. I will now introduce two recently completed parks projects in your neighborhood. Next slide, please. In Rotary Park, a new off-leash dog area for small dogs was added to the existing dog park as an adjacent space for smaller dogs to enjoy. This area is now open to the public as a safe place for small dogs. The public has been very enthusiastic with the upgrades to the park. Next slide, please. Point Crescent. This is a small park space located on Point Crescent, also known as Lake Street open space, that was recently improved with final construction completed this past spring. Former shoreline protection measures at this location failed in the past few years and were recently replaced with rock revetment. Tree plantings, a paved path, and a bench were installed to improve the use of this space as lakefront viewing area. For the projects planned for construction in 2026 and 2027, I'll pass it to Matt. Thank you.
Thanks, Lori. So I'm Matthew McCombs. I'm also with Parks and Shoreline at the city, and I'm managing a few shoreline and park combined projects in the Lakeshore District, with 2 located in Reddendale. So we have 3 of these coming up in the Lakeshore District. They're all at different design stages. In Crerar Park, planned improvements include mitigation measures for erosion and flooding, a new pathway through the park, and that'll be integrated with some picnic tables and benches, and then some new play elements in the existing playground area. The Projects Get Involved page is currently being updated. Notifications will be sent out to those on the email list and who are following the project online once those updates are ready. And then as part of that, there'll be like a short survey where you can pick which alternative for the playground you prefer and provide some general comments on the project. Construction for that project is planned for 2026. Everett Park is just down the road from Crerar to the west. In this space, we had similar flooding issues. So we're going to try to improve the drainage through the park. And as part of that, add a pathway through there that's a little bit more formal, and that'll be connected to a picnic table and some improvements to the existing lookout area at the south end of the park. That construction will happen more or less concurrently with Crerar Park in 2026. Horsey Bay is a project plan for construction in 2027, and it'll include a lot of shoreline improvements in there where there's some erosion of the existing shoreline protection measures. So we're looking to add some resiliency to the shoreline, and with that project, we'll also be providing some improvements to the pathway system in there, the bench configuration, some opportunities for picnicking in the area with some bike racks. And that construction is planned for 2027. And we've recently added a Get Involved page for this project that you can look at. Should be live now.